What's up, guys? Arash Rabar here. Please excuse my absence. It's been a while since I've been on YouTube. Been focusing on myself, trying to get better and improve and have a good off season. And by better, I mean not only improving my physique, but taking care of some bumps and bruises. Being a professional bodybuilder plays a toll on the body. Get a little bit of little aches and pains, little injuries. I have no serious injuries, but I'm training now in bodybuilding pretty hard and intense for 25 years and competing for 5. So, it's pretty taxing, especially when we're in prep. We get in the zone and we're pushing, training really hard. I actually had therapy today, and here's a good trick for you guys. I used to ice a lot after I trained, and my therapist said, no, do moist heat. So I said, how would I do moist heat? That's actually falling out of the bag. But you can buy moist heat pads, but I didn't have one, and I didn't get a chance to buy one. So this is just a pillowcase filled with rice. And when you microwave the rice, it has moisture in it. So that's moist heat for you without purchasing an actual heat pad. I'm putting that on my quads. So I wanted to make this video today. I get a lot of questions all the time, and I put up a Q&A questionnaire in my story, and I got a lot of great questions. I'm just going to cover 1 or 2 of them today in this video, and then I'm going to make another a video in length and pick specific questions. But, I'm getting a lot of young guys coming up to me in the gym and asking me what they should do. As far as should they cut or should they bulk. I'm talking about this happens all the time. It doesn't matter what time of year it is, all the time. It happened to me today. What do you think I should do? I was dieting for a few months. I put on a little bit of body fat. Do you think I should bulk, or do you think I should keep dieting and get as lean as possible? And my first question is, what's your goal? Why would you do either one? What do you want to accomplish? And some of the answers are, I want to compete, I want to turn pro, or I just want to have a nice body. But majority of the time, regardless if they say it directly or not, the answer is they want to get bigger. Everybody wants to get more muscular. Not everybody wants to be a huge gorilla. Not everybody wants to be 250 pounds. But everybody wants to gain more muscle. And if you don't, you should. Men, women, children, everybody. Muscle is what keeps the human body intact in one piece. If when you get older you atrophy and you don't exercise, you don't tone your muscle or build your muscle, you're gonna have a lot of issues. You'll be more prone to injury, and your body will just kind of slouch over. So, but for the most part, the younger guys, regardless if you want to do men's physique, classic physique, bodybuilding, you just want to have a nice body to get laid. You shouldn't be doing that to get laid, by the way. But you got to gain muscle. In the first few years, the first 5-10 years, your goal should just be trying to put on as much mass as possible. Growing muscle isn't that hard, but it doesn't happen accidentally. You have to create a proper environment. And by that, I mean an anabolic environment. And I don't mean anabolic steroids. I'm not talking about supplements. I'm talking about being anabolic. Eating and sleeping enough to grow. So if you train your ass off, if you get stronger and stronger and stronger, you're just genetically wired for strength. I see a lot of guys over the years, 25 years in gyms, I've seen this all the time. There's always this one guy that's not big, not dense, not thick, muscles aren't very round, but he's strong as hell. So he's just muscle fibers, he's wired for strength. It's more genetic. Now that's great, you do need strength for size, but the key when we're looking at developing the physique and bodybuilding per se is volume, muscle volume, and getting bigger and growing more muscle fibers. So my answer to the younger guys that ask me that is always, without looking at them and saying, in my opinion, that they don't have enough muscle, first I ask them, but in my opinion, most guys need to build muscle. Either they're not big enough, or they are missing a lot of body parts. Maybe they have big legs, but the upper body's small. Maybe they have a big chest or big arms, but no back and no legs. And when I say big enough, I'm not saying to my taste. What I'm talking about is if you don't have enough muscle on your frame, you might look fine walking around 10-12% body fat, but if you don't have a lot of dense muscle, when you diet down for your first show or for the beach or the summer, whatever the case may be, you'll be very disappointed with the way you look. You're not gonna look like a fitness guy or a competitor or whatever. I'm switching my rice bag to my other leg, excuse me. But you're just gonna look like a triathlete, or like you're gonna look anorexic. I see this happen all the time. Guys too early on in their career or in their life of bodybuilding decide to diet down and compete. And if they actually succeed at getting really lean, they're usually unhappy with the amount of muscle mass they have. So my advice is get as big as humanly possible without getting fat. So how do you do that? You have to create an anabolic environment. And guys, this isn't a video about drugs and supplements, but it's really exhausting when people just use that as an excuse all the time. I've seen guys grow immensely and look incredible, 100% natural, and I've seen guys on boatloads of drugs look like crap. A lot of it has to do with genetics, but if you're not applying yourself, if you're not training with high intensity consistently, I'm talking about the craziest workout you guys have had, the best workout you had in the past 6 months, every single day with that intensity, sleeping every single night, 8+ hours a night, 8 or more, and eating enough calories that you're in a surplus and you're in an anabolic state. All those three together is where the magic happens. I don't care how good your genetics are or how much drugs you're on or thinking of being on. If those three aren't there, you're not going to be the best you can be. Are some people so genetically gifted that they can kind of slack a little bit in the gym or slack a little on the diet? Yeah, sure, and they can look better than you or I. But they're not going to be the best they can be. You understand? So we're talking about being the best you can be. I mean, I could go as far as saying that before I ever even competed and stepped on stage, I was probably more anal with my diet and training than I am now. I know it sounds crazy, but I was so OCD and 100% natural, just getting as big as possible, putting on as much dense muscle tissue and really filling out my frame. And you guys have to understand, I was looking up to the bodybuilders of the 90s. That messes your head up. Those guys are the most genetically gifted bodybuilders ever that we know of. They're more genetically gifted the 70s and 80s and the 2000s, arguably. At one given time in the amateur ranks and the pro ranks, you got some of the best bodybuilders we've ever seen. Sean Ray, Flex Wheeler, Kevin Levrone, Nasser Esselambadi, Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman. I mean, the list goes on, So growing up and looking up to those guys kind of messes your head up. So I'm almost never happy with my physique because that's what I looked at as the ideal physique. So going back to the reason I made the video, you younger guys, it doesn't matter your age. When I say younger, you could be 40, but if it's your first few years in the gym, you really need to just focus on building size with good form and good nutrition. I see too many guys nowadays, it's a different time, it's a different generation. I sound like an old man when I say this, but when I was in my 20s and training like Dorian, because that's who I looked up to and that's who I trained like. If you guys don't know, go and YouTube Blood and Guts, Dorian Yates. It's an old school VHS, it's like over an hour on YouTube, and you see the style of training. He was meditative between his sets. He wasn't on his phone, he wasn't joking or talking. When you're resting in your sets, you should be meditating and getting mentally ready for the next set. So he would literally pace back and forth, and every set was like the last set of his life. I see guys go 8, 9, 10 and put the weight down and walk away and they're on their phone. That's not intensity. And then these guys are training for 2 hours. These guys are doing like 7 to 10 exercises of muscle. If you guys train at 1,000% and you give 1,000% effort, you're not going to last very long. My chest workouts are like 3 exercises. If you really push yourself hard, you won't last long. And Dorian used to say his workouts were like 30, 40 minutes, and he only worked out a few days a week. I think it was like 3 days a week, and people didn't believe him. But if you watch the guy train, most of you get sore just from watching him. So I'm going off on tangents, but you really need to push yourselves. One of the biggest pieces of advice, people always come up to me and they're like, oh, in the middle of the gym, in the middle of their workout, in the middle of my workout, oh, I'm doing chest, what should I do? And I stop myself because I don't want to be rude, but most of the time I just want to say, you want your chest to get bigger? You want your arms to get bigger? Put your phone away. Take your phone and put it in the locker room. Like if you guys carry your phone like I do for either videos or for music, I do it for music because I listen to SoundCloud, but if you do that, either put your phone on silent so you don't hear calls and texts coming in, or if you have music on your phone, just put your phone on airplane mode if you don't need the Wi-Fi, or get yourself like another dummy phone or an iPad, what are they called? iPod, those old school ones. So the phone is the most distracting thing, and that's something that's like new. We didn't have this 15, 20 years ago. We had cell phones, but we didn't have smartphones, and we didn't carry them around on us during the workout. So that's a huge, huge factor that's really really taking away from in your workouts. Human beings are not good multitaskers. This has been studied and been proven. We are not good multitaskers. We can do several things at once, but we can't do anything great when we're doing a bunch of stuff. So you're only in the gym for 45 minutes to an hour and a half, give or take. You know, you're only intense for 30 minutes. Just give it your all. You know, like the guy reading a book on the cardio machine. Okay, well, if you're doing cardio intensely, you can't read because your eyes are bouncing around and you're losing your place. And if you're reading like well and not bouncing around, you're not doing cardio well. So you're doing two things half-ass. He's not reading efficiently and quick, and he's not really burning enough calories because he's not intense enough. So why not, instead of reading a book and doing cardio for 45 minutes to an hour, why don't you just read for 20 minutes and do cardio really intense for 20 minutes or 30 or whatever the case may be? When you think of it that way, it makes a lot more sense, you know? We're in the gym for one reason only, to build muscle and strength. If you're in your off season, you're in the gym to build muscle and strength. If you're dieting to get lean, you're in the gym to build muscle and strength. What changes is not how you train. That's a huge misconception. I know this is kind of another tangent, but this is really important. Like guys like, oh, it's the summertime, I'm gonna do more exercises, more sets, more reps. That's called cardio. So the training should always be as hard and intense in mind trying to get stronger and more muscular. If you're dieting, you eat less and you do more cardio. If you're off season, you eat more and you do less cardio, but you don't want your training to be a cardio workout. That's just gonna burn you out. If you do tons and tons of reps and sets for lower weight, that's stamina and endurance training, right? So if you look at endurance athletes and athletes that are trained for stamina, they have long, lanky, flat muscles. If you look at boxers or sprinters or football players or bodybuilders that train for speed, intensity, strength, they have round, bubbly, flowing muscles. So think about that. When you train heavy and explosive, you're training both muscle fibers, fast twitch and slow twitch. But when you're training high reps, lightweight, you're only training slow twitch. So dropping the weight and going up in the reps because you want to get leaner is a really quick way of just flattening out your muscle and possibly losing muscle mass when you're dieting rigorously and you're doing tons and tons of cardio. So keep that in mind. But again, to just go over what I'm saying, what am I telling you guys to do? If you want to grow, if you want to compete and be successful, you need a lot of muscle on your frame, right? Unless you're a genetic freak, really freak, or you're on tons of anabolics, which I don't recommend, it's very difficult. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's very difficult to continuously grow and add dense muscle tissue while in a caloric deficit. A lot of you guys want to be lean all year round, wear stringers to the gym, take pictures for Instagram, and look GQ and have abs for the girls, but you're not going to really progress. You're not going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Look, a lot of the fitness models and fitness celebrities on Instagram that are always in shape. It's awesome. I commend them. That's great. I mean, when I retired from bodybuilding and before I ever competed, I was always lean. I was always in shape. When I was younger, I was hardcore bodybuilding and I was really big for a long time because I wanted to grow and I learned what I'm teaching you guys. But I think it's awesome to be in shape all year round, but I'm just trying to prove a point. Those guys, if you follow them on Instagram, they don't change much. They don't grow much. Very, very little every year, maybe. If you really, truly want to grow and advance at a fast rate, you need to be in a caloric surplus. I'm not saying you have to be fat. I'm saying you have to be at a caloric surplus. What does that mean? Eating more than you're burning. How much more? Depends on the person, their activity, their genetics, and their threshold. Some people can eat a lot more, thousands more, and not really get fat. Maybe a little bloated, maybe a little thicker, but not fat. Some people, they get fat. They build fat around their midsection, so on and so forth. I see guys that have the same waistline, just a little softer in the off season. They gain 30 pounds. Other people, their shape goes to shit. So that's a factor you have to take into consideration person to person. But if you truly want to grow at a fast rate, you got to think of yourself in like a cocoon, almost like an animal hibernating. You need to be sleeping, eating, training, sleeping, eating, training. Now, of course, you have other aspects of your life, work, school, family, but I'm just telling you the most direct, hardcore way, to truly get bigger. And the thing is, some of you guys will eat like 4 or 5 meals one day, and then you won't eat for a few days, and then one day you'll train hard. It has to be consistent. You have to be like a dog. A dog eats and goes for his walk and goes to sleep the same time every day, and they like that. And it might sound boring, but you need to do that if you want to progress. The body needs to get into a certain rhythm, a certain cycle. And I don't care if you stayed up late, I don't care if you're tired. If you're training and eating and on the same regime, even one day if you go to the gym and you're tired, once you get in there at the same time, your body's used to performing at that time every day. Once you start moving up, you'll get going and you'll be able to train hard. So keep that in mind. And if you guys have to ask the question of, do you think I'm ready? Do you think I have enough muscle to compete or whatever? Probably the answer is no. I mean, you got to keep in mind, if you like your size and you think you have nice size now, well, minus, if you have to lose 20 pounds, a lot of that's going to be muscle. You know, the longer and harder you diet, the more prone you are to losing muscle. So yes, we're going to lose a ton of body fat. We're going to lose a lot of water, and ideally the least amount of muscle possible. But we're going to lose muscle. If you're dieting hard for a prolonged period and you actually get low single-digit body fat, you're going to lose muscle. It's just the way the human body works. You know, our body doesn't want to be jacked and ripped. It's just goes against what homeostasis goes against what we want to do naturally. The body wants to survive. It doesn't understand that we're in 2019 and you guys want to wear board shorts and compete, you know? So we're still cavemen in that realm. So keep that in mind, guys. Put together a program for yourselves and really understand that the whole multitasking thing that I was telling you, you can't, how else can I say this? I mean, if you're in bed with a girl, you're not going to be able to have a conversation with your buddy or go on your phone. And if you are, then there's just something definitely wrong. You know, if you're taking a really, really important exam, you're not going to be doing anything but that exam. If you're eating your favorite meal, you're just really focused on that meal. If you're in an awesome supercar and you're racing a Ferrari on the track, you're going to be doing that. You're not going to be doing anything else. You're not going to be having a conversation, reading a book, watching TV. You won't. So give 100% of your focus to whatever it is you're doing. If you want to do it well, if you want to do it, be good at it. The phone is the worst fucking thing you guys can have on you when you're training. It takes your focus away. You have your phone on you about, I don't know, 15, 20 hours a day, some of you. Some of you guys don't even sleep. We check it before we go to bed. We check it when we wake up. That's a whole entire video. I recommend you don't do that. But it's in our hand all the time. You're fine if you just take a break from it for an hour and a half in the gym. Just don't take it with you. Try that tomorrow. Don't take it with you in the gym. You know, if I'm training with training partners, I don't listen to music, and we're taking pictures or whatever for social media, I'll have them do it and then airdrop it to me after. So I haven't even had my phone on me during workouts for the past 3 weeks because I've been training with people. You're more focused. And in between sets is not rest time, it's not social hour. You know, if you ever see a fighter, an MMA fighter or a boxer, shooting the shit with his boys and joking around and then going in the ring and fighting? No, he's in a meditative state on the way to the ring. He gets in the ring and he's in the zone. Even when they ring the bell and he goes to his corner, he's focused and focusing on going back. He's resting and recovering, taking notes from his coach, but focused on what he's going to do when he goes back in the ring. Same thing. When you guys are resting, you should be focused. Like, okay, I just did the 80s for 10. I did them. It was pretty hard, but I pushed it. It was good. I'm going to do the 85s and I'm going to shoot for 8 to 10 again. And then from this exercise, I'm going to do that. You need to get mentally prepared. So you should know your workout before you get in the gym. You should know the next exercise before you're done with this one. You should know how many reps and sets you're shooting for. And you should push yourself. Again, Dorian Yates, blood and guts. He's pacing back and forth, staring at the floor, getting mentally prepared. And then he gives everything he fucking has on every set. When was the last time you guys did that? Stop pointing fingers at other people. Say, he takes that, he has good genetics. When was the last time you gave everything you had? When was the last time you ate 7 meals every single day, 7 days a week, every month, every year? When was the last time you covered all these bases? Do that, and I promise you won't point fingers. I promise you won't make excuses, because you're going to say, oh shit, I made progress. Will you be Mr. Olympia? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Do you have what it takes genetically? That's not what it's about. Even if you don't have good genetics, you can still be the best you. Genetics will determine how good you could possibly get compared to other people. But someone with terrible genetics can still gain muscle and they can still get very, very lean. Of course, if you have health conditions, that's a different story. But someone's grandma can get ripped. I know that sounds silly, but even a child, there's kids out there with 6-packs and like freaking veins running down their legs. So anyone can gain muscle, anyone can get lean, anyone can be the best version of them. And that's what this is about. This isn't about you versus the guys that you follow on Instagram. This is about you getting the best that you can. So before you make any excuses, before you point fingers, give it all you got. You know, I've said this in many different videos. I've been training for a long time. I started when I was 13. At 16, I looked like a little mini bodybuilder. I could have competed. And then in my 20s, I was always lean in GQ. And then in my 20s, I was like, you know what? I want to get much bigger. I met King Kamali, IFBB Pro, and I was like, I want to get big. And I started to bulk, and I gained a lot of weight, way too much weight, and a lot of fat, but I got really big. And I studied every day on the computer. I read books, I read magazines, I tried different styles of training, but I gave it my all. I trained my ass off every day, and I ate 6-7 meals a day every day for like years, like 10, 12 years, you know? And for you younger guys that are healthy and don't have any aches or pains, take advantage of that. Don't be stupid, but be happy, you know? You're constantly growing. You have no aches and pains. It doesn't get easier. It gets harder. So if you train yourself now, get yourself wired for this intensity, get yourself wired to handle this pain, and mentally wired to be able to break through your barriers, you're going to continue to get better and better and better. But if you keep postponing and postponing, that shit's not going to happen when you're older. It's going to be harder when you're older. So keep that in mind, guys, and build muscle. Trust me on this one. If you have to decide between dieting and getting as lean as possible and kind of having a clean off season and getting bigger, and you're not that big and you're young, go with the off season getting bigger. And it doesn't have to be an off season in the year. I was off season for 8 years at one point because I felt like I needed to bring up a lot of areas, and I was very hard on myself, and I didn't think my physique was as good as it should be. And that's why when I started to compete at the late ages, 34, I turned pro in 3 shows. And people were like, where did Arash Bar come from? Well, I wasn't in the scene, but I was doing this for years and years and years. I was already, I had a lot of muscle maturity and a lot of years under my belt. So keep that in mind. Watch Blood and Guts, Dorian Yates. Write yourself a program and stick to it.